Video game prices are going up. At least we have reason to believe that is the case, all thanks to NBA 2K21. But we'll talk about that and more video game news on this week's episode of Don't Give a Bit, so stay tuned. What is going on, guys? I'm Deshaun over at Don't Give a Bit, where we talk about the games you give a damn about, the news you need to know, all while building a community you truly care about. Now, like I said, video game prices are starting to increase. We got NBA 2K21 bringing bad news. But before we get into any of that, we got to start off with our first segment, Pop Quiz Hotshot. Now, of course, Pop Quiz Hotshot is where I give you a pop quiz question, you answer it down in the comments below, and I reveal the answer at the end of the video. So, today's question. Project Ego, developed by Big Blue Box Studios, would go on to be a critical hit franchise spawning multiple sequels. What was the actual name of the game that Project Ego was code for? A. Blue Dragon, B. Halo, C. Black and White, or D. Fable? Once you have those answers, go ahead and put them down in the comment section below, and we will reveal that answer at the end of the video. Now that those answers are all nice and locked in down below, we can hop right into our second segment, Plays of the Game. Plays of the Game is where you show me your highlighted clips, we showcase it here, and everyone loves it. So this clip comes from D-Blue1 playing some Battlefield 1. With this clip, we got D-Blue1 playing some Battlefield 1, taking over the entire base by himself. Now a lot of times people get to a base and they realize that it's overrun and they decide to run away. Or sometimes you decide to fight and mow everyone down. Sometimes twice. And then when you realize that they're going to start coming for you, what do? Hold the door. And that's the proper way to conquer a base. Now, of course, if you have a clip of you dominating the game and making it look easy, go ahead and send that in. The contact information is down below. We would love to see your clips. Now, with all that being said, we can hop right into our third segment, Week Back Recap. Now, of course, video game news is the bread and butter of this show. We got to talk about NBA 2K21 bringing up the prices of video games. We saw that NBA 2K21 is listed as $70. The reason why this is important is because this could set a precedent for what the new video game generation is going to cost per game. Now, we know that we've been stuck at the $60 price point since the Xbox 360 era. Now, some say that that price ratio is what's caused games to stagnate. Games are costing more and more to produce, but getting less and less income. And to that statement, I say DLCs, additional in-game purchases, and all that, throw that theory completely out the window. Some of the most profitable games right now are literally free-to-play games, so I don't want to hear that argument. Now, I'm not saying that that argument can't be based on some forms of truth, but I am going to say that argument has a lot of flaws. At least that is my personal belief. Now, the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One versions of NBA 2K21 are still going to be $60, which does give more validity to the claim that the next generation games are going to cost $70. Now, at this current moment, no other game developers have come out and stated that they will be increasing the prices of their games. Let's hope that's not the case, and let's hope that this is a one developer situation. Now, I'm going to be honest and give you my opinions. 2K is a very greedy franchise. Now, constantly we are seeing those in-game purchases ramping their way up, becoming really invasive in the 2K series. So them wanting to get more money out of their game is not surprising to me. This is a great excuse going into a new console generation, bumping up to that $70, just getting more income per game added. Now, their statement claims that they are doing so because the value added per game has increased, therefore it justifies that $70 price point. Now, we will have to wait and see if that is truly the case, because if they're giving us the same 2K20 game, 2K19 game with a $70 price point, that just means that they were in it for the money. But if we are seeing new innovations and changes into the gameplay, maybe, just maybe, they can back up their claims. Now, the second story is a little bit of a bummer. EVO Online, the fighting game tournament, has been canceled for 2020. Now, originally EVO was supposed to happen in person, but the pandemic came in and ruined all those. So instead, they decided to change it to an online fighting game format. Not a problem, except now it's been canceled due to sexual abuse allegations against the CEO and founder, Joey Cueller. I believe that's how you pronounce the name. If not, please look it up and check that Now, I don't want to go ahead and go into too many details about this claims, mainly because I want you to do your own research. When it comes to sexual abuse claims and anything of that variety, it's very important to stay informed and not to do victim blaming or blame either party until you have all the details in general. But pretty much Evo has come out and made the statement that they are separating themselves from the entire situation. They do not condone sexual abuse or any type of sexual harassment, and change does not happen overnight. So they are going to be postponing the event until 2021. Now, more details about this entire allegation has been starting to arise, but like I said, I'll put that information down below. Please make sure you check that out. Now, for this next story, it's a little bit more upbeat. We finally have news that Microsoft has renewed the Fable trademark. Now, we've had rumors that Fable 4 has been in the making by the Forza Horizon developers for a while now, but we finally have actual proof that they renewed their IP. Now, Microsoft pretty much just stated, yeah, well, of course, we want to take care of all of our IPs and all that good stuff, but in reality, we know that Fable's probably coming. Now, the goal is to see something of it, some remnants of Fable during this July Xbox event for the first-party titles. We need a new Fable. Microsoft has to come out showcasing some of their titles and showcasing, hey, we have games for this next generation. You've seen me talk about it in plenty of videos at this point. Microsoft has to come out with games. Fable is a great series, especially being developed by a completely new studio. It is a great game to showcase, hey, we know what you guys love, we know the IPs you love, and we're doing it better and new. Especially at this point, since there's been so many changes in game development, we should see some very new ideas, some very fresh ideas coming into this Fable system. I would love to see a dialogue system mimicking that of Mass Effect or some of those other titular titles. So I'm excited for it. Microsoft, do not let us down. Please showcase this Fable at this event. Now, this next story is a little bit quicker. Square Enix has finally displayed some of their Outriders gameplay in a YouTube event the other day. Now, this game is supposed to be similar to those of Division, Destiny, Anthem, any of those other looter shooter gameplays, except this is supposed to be a little bit more gritty. Now, the gameplay looks interesting. I just don't know if it's going to have enough identity to really hold its own against these other games that are out currently. Now, if you are a fan of looter shooters or any of those games of the sort, please make sure you click the link down below. Now, I do think it could be a nice, fun game to change up the pace a little bit, but I don't think it's going to have enough identity to really hold its own in this new generation of games. So, there's to that. And lastly, on a little quick notice, if you're a fan of Battle Royale games, Ubisoft has finally released their Hyperscape. You can go ahead and check it out on Twitch, and if you're watching a lot of the Twitch, they do have promotions so that you can actually receive closed beta access similar to what Valorant did. All you have to do is stick into their Twitch streams. I'll put that information down below. You should get a little notification that you received the game if you watch enough streams. It's a random lottery. I did receive it. I haven't played the game yet, but I'll give you my views once I have played it. So make sure to check that information down below. Now that the news has been all wrapped up, we got to go into our next segment, When We Last Spoke. And of course, When We Last Spoke is where you ask a question, I answer it here, and we just have a little discussion piece. Now, this week's question comes from Reddit user Mahenium, who asked a good question, a little lengthy, so I'm going to paraphrase it just a little bit for the sake of time. They asked, have games exceeded, met, or fallen short of the hopes you had for the medium when you were younger? I remember 2004 playing and loving a little game called Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. A wide-eyed, enthusiastic, idealistic 14-year-old me had the utmost excitement for what games would be in another 10 years' time. 16 years on, I look at that Grand Theft Auto 5, and that 14-year-old inside of me can't help but feel a little disappointed. For all the improvements of shiny HD textures and physics engines and AI suites in terms of content, the tools and toys to play with as a player certainly seem to have plateaued in 2004. Now, personally, I actually really love this question, mainly because when we're kids, our imagination takes what we're currently playing and just runs away with it. I mean, we saw the changes from Super Mario World to Super Mario Odyssey, as well as Grand Theft Auto 2 to Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. So the changes are there. We've played through the changes. We've seen the changes that can happen. But now at this point, we're at a point where game graphical fidelity doesn't change drastically like that anymore. It's these small incremental changes that we see over a period of time. But what we have seen is the change in which games are made, the dialogue, the sound design. We're talking about games like Sinuous Sacrifice that are beautifully made games that tackle things like mental disorders as well as really enhancing that audio for the players. We're playing with characters that are dealing with racial discrimination in Mafia 3. We're playing games that tackle hard issues. So game writing has become out of this world. I never would have expected that. When I was younger, I would have looked at the typical game that I was playing, maybe SOCOM 2 at the time, and thought, oh yeah, it's just an action game. Or maybe I'm playing a sad game like Final Fantasy VII and thought, yeah, there was a sad moment. But now we're playing through tragedies. We're playing through games that truly make you feel something and cope with the character. We have to reassess how we critically analyze these games now, which is a fantastic thing. I think that alone sets merits for game. Now we're talking about sound design. Sound design is out of this world. It's one of those things that we don't really appreciate until it's done perfectly or done very badly. So both of those alone, game writing, sound design, I would have never expected it. Now on the other side, I do understand if you're playing a game like Grand Theft Auto, if that's like one of your first experiences into games, well, the bar's been set so high for you already that it's really hard to go past that, or at least to break past that. Playing Grand Theft Auto San Andreas for the first time was amazing, but imagine if San Andreas was your first real foray into games. You've already got like a hard baseline to go past. So that's just my opinion. I do think that games have completely exceeded what I ever thought they could as a medium in general, but that's mainly because now they're looked at as an art form, and that's crazy to me. I would have never thought that gaming would have been looked at as art. Thought that it was something that nerds do in the basement when they don't feel like socializing. Instead, it's a piece that you put in front of the TV, you want everybody to check it out. It's a discussion point, and that is beautiful. Now, before we get out of here, I do want to go ahead and reveal the answer to today's pop quiz question. If you said Fable, you are absolutely correct. Project Eco went on to become Fable, which then spawned many of sequels, becoming a loved game today. Now, thank you so much for checking out the show. If you do want to be part of the show, make sure you write to me via Instagram, YouTube, any way that you want to. I will put that information down below. Get in contact with me. I want you to be part of the show. And if you haven't yet, be sure to follow, subscribe, and all that good stuff. And stay tuned for next week's episode. Deshaun doing what Deshaun do. Do what it do. Do what it do, 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 what it do.